Hi guys.
Hi, Zoe. Is someone watching the Jitsi stream to see if this will show up there?
I'm trying to find it. Yes, it's there.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Jitsi Community Call. It's already 10:31 in Texas, um, so we're going to get started. If anyone joins later, you're most welcome. So, uh, to get the elephant out of the room first, I assume most people have seen the tweet and the news entry on our channel on jitsi.org. We are many of us are part of Atlassian, and Atlassian recently had this deal where Stride went to Slack. So many people have been asking, does this affect Jitsi? Is Jitsi now part of Slack? And the answer to those questions is no. Jitsi is not concerned by this deal, so everything continues the way it was, and that's all there is to it. Now moving on, Lubo and the mobile team, Zoli and Saul and Daniel and Pavel have been working on trying to suss out a few percentages of performance improvements on mobile. Would either of you guys want to talk a little bit about this?
Pavel, go on.
Yes, so what I was looking at was decreasing the time it takes to get audio when there are big conferences, and it turned out that the avatars are blocking the main JavaScript thread, and it's really slowing down the app. So the improvement there for a conference of 12 people would be like from 12 seconds to 3 seconds. So we'll be looking into fixing these avatars, and other than that, it's also possible to delay adding the video sources to the remote description. That would also save a few seconds there. I'm currently looking at that now. It's still work in progress.
Thanks very much, Pavel.
Yeah, and the other efforts are probably gonna have smaller yields, but they're just a collection of small things that improve, have like a bigger impact as a sum. The primary efforts are on blocking the UI threads and the JavaScript thread as well, because the UI responsiveness involves it as well. So we're hoping to shift stuff around from those important threads to less important ones, and we get better responsiveness in the UI. Zoli, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, on my side, I was thinking how we could improve performance or save some time with logging, because it turned out that we log a lot, but there was no visible improvement there yet. The next approach will be to implement something like a flat list type of approach for the film strip. So then we try to minimize the rendering and everything else effort for those thumbnails that we don't see on the screen at a given moment. That will be the next thing.
In fact, we should probably talk a little bit about this, because there's this plan to potentially not show the film strip at all by default, and just keep to the active participants. And in that case, there wouldn't be any need for any fancy detection of what's showing and what isn't showing. It'll be fairly simple. So maybe we should talk about this before you guys spend too much more time on it.
Okay.
Thank you, Zoli. I think Daniel was not on the call, so let's move on. Lenny has continued work on Brady Bunch, which, by the way, the mobile team will also pick up in the following weeks. Lenny, would you like to talk a little bit about how that's going on?
I'm wrapping up Brady Bunch right now. It's in review. I noticed one issue I need to take care of, so I'm working on that right now. But otherwise, yeah, it's in review.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Brian, what's new on your side?
So I redid the layer suspension implementation to use RTP sender, so we get much better ramp up performance out of that now. But it's only available on Chrome 69, so that won't hit stable for a little bit. And then I've also been continuing to spend time on kind of our next gen looking thing of libjitsi, which is going to be targeted at the bridge use case. So I'll be continuing on that.
There's a blog post coming on that topic as well for those that are interested. Damien and Yana have started working on calendar integrations. Would either of you two want to speak to that?
Yeah, it's still work in progress, so there is not much to report on.
Well, maybe it's worth saying that we're currently looking at having support for Microsoft and Google. It would be entirely client-side, so this shouldn't have an impact on the Jitsi Meet installation. And even people who run their own instances should get that integration for their users relatively easily, which we're sort of excited about. We think that makes a big difference for the ease of use and for the user friendliness of the user experience of using Meet entirely. Aaron has started looking into adding support to Jitsi Meet for out-of-the-box support for recordings through Dropbox, again, with as little server support as possible, with the same concerns. Aaron, would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically we're just trying to launch a integration that will allow us to, at least on meet.jit.si, click through and upload your recordings to Dropbox. Ideally, this will involve, as Emil said, as little server interaction as possible. We have some proof of concepts that we're trying to work through this week, and I'm still hopeful that at least for a basic flow of a specific browser, we should even be able to keep a user between sessions. So we're still looking into that and seeing what we can do.
Just to give people an idea, well enough, the idea is that you will be able to record your meetings, but before you do, at least the first time, or maybe every time, depending on the implementation specifics, you will be able to authenticate with Dropbox and choose a directory so that you can upload your recording there.
And it may be just that you authorize the application. You may not need to choose a directory based on how we do it. We may have a specific meetings directory that's under our app, and we only have access to that anyway. The selecting of a directory may not be part of the process, is my point.
George, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you've been doing?
Yeah. So first of all, we're putting on hold the loss experiment. We have found out that ignoring the packet loss for up to 1 megabit bitrate, well, naturally increases the packet loss, but we cannot really tell whether this has positive effects on some participants or not. So we cannot draw any good conclusions from the experiment. So we are going to put that on hold, and we're gonna go on a different path with some more, which we hope it's going to be more predictable in the results that we're going to be getting. We're going to work on probing, specifically probe when we are in the so-called application limited region, So when, for example, you're screen sharing, you're uploading 500 kilobits, you want to probe for bandwidth, for additional bandwidth in case you switch from screen sharing to HD camera video. And also we can use that kind of probing for when there are sudden drops in the bandwidth estimation. So for example, there's a congestion event that clears off, and we want to ramp up back immediately to the bitrate that we were before the congestion event. So these two test cases are sort of our validation test cases, and this is what we're going to be trying to fix in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Thank you, George. Boris.
So I've been working on enabling the cascaded bridges on Jitsi with the purpose of geolocation. Right now, what I'm trying to do is make sure that we collect all the data necessary in order to evaluate the effects on this. So we're going to do it with an A/B test, and we expect that to start this sometime next week. A couple of weeks after that, if everything is successful, we should enable it for everyone on it.
And it's probably worth adding that we're planning on conducting a comprehensive set of experiments about exactly what impact that has on conferences, and all of that will be published eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Boris. Christo, you have a couple of interesting things on your queue. Why don't you tell us about them?
Was that me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm currently working on the feature for the blurred background.
Just
basically
maybe, yes, tell us a little bit about what this is.
Yeah, basically the idea there is to focus on the participant's face and to blur a little bit the background in the room, let's say, or whatever the background is for privacy purposes. So I'm experimenting with a couple of things there. I hope this week we may have something if everything goes well. Unfortunately, until now, I haven't yet had the chance to evaluate what is it gonna work well, or how it's gonna look like. But yeah, probably on the next call we are gonna have more insight about it, and maybe even the feature can be released. So I think that's all for me. Also, so we are working here on the recent list feature. There is a PR, but it's still work in progress, and but very soon it should be deployed. Actually, not deployed, but merged at least. So I think that's all for me.
Thank you very much. Looking at the list of participants, I think we've gone through pretty much everyone. Have I forgotten anyone? All right. So at this point, we're going to do open mic. Are there any questions or comments from the floor? In fact, I've always wondered when people say from the floor, they're talking about which floor, because presumably everyone has a floor underneath them. So I never really knew. But I like the sound of it, so questions from the floor? From the second floor? Or third floor? 29th floor? Any comments? I'm going to stay in silence for 10 seconds and then we'll end the call. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining and being with us on this call, and we will see you again in 2 weeks, hopefully with a lot of new updates. Have a great week, everyone. Cheers.